Well, this week we're doing Ollivander's Magic Wand Shop. Or should I say you are?
Well, it was one of those little models, and it took me a while to build that one.
Now, just to get everybody caught up, Ollivander's was in the very first Harry Potter. It's where Harry Potter went and bought his magic wand.
Oh, I always loved that part because it reminds me when I started junior high in 7th grade and we had to have all these things for school. So I quite naturally loved this part of Harry Potter when they went shopping for the wand.
In Dagon Alley.
Yes.
It was such a neat place. And wonderfully, they've recreated Dagon Alley, including the Magic Wand Shop at Universal Studios.
That was a fun day out.
And you can actually go in here and buy a magic wand.
I know, I was tempted. They're a little pricey though, but they're fun.
And they work.
They do, as long as you're at Universal Studios.
Yeah, it's marked on the cement in various places, and you can walk up there, and if you've got the magic wand, and you move it in the way that the map on the ground shows you to move it, something magical happens.
Right.
An animation or lights come on, but something happens if you use your magic wand in the appropriate place. Anyway, it makes a wonderful model.
It sure does. It took a little while to build this, though.
And as always, you kind of added some things.
Oh, I did my own thing quite a bit on this.
Because it is one of those laser cut wood kits that you can buy.
Right.
This is the ad for it on Amazon. And it's a very wonderful kit. It goes together well, I think.
Oh, it has so many little tiny details. And each of those little tiny details has to be built independently, like using beads and bead caps. And oh my. So according to the instructions, you have to start first by building all these teeny weeny little things, and some of it's paper cutouts and others are pieces of wire twisted into shapes. This was the magic cart that was heading for platform 9 3/4, and of course you had to build the suitcase. Everything on that, including the cart itself, had to be assembled one by one. And you can see like the pink bottle and the blue bottle, they're beads like you make jewelry out of. And talk about folding tiny boxes. Each of these little boxes that come through the mail, they have to be folded from a teeny weeny flat piece of paper. The glasses had to be bent from wire. And of course, I used some nail polish to create the lenses. I have to go that far.
And speaking of lenses, I needed a magnifying glass just to see what the heck you've created here.
Oh, they were small. They were tiny. And again, you can see all the little rolled up pieces of paper that represent like newspaper and books and the jewelry beads. Now, being the rivet counter that I've turned into, they included a small model train which was supposed to be the Hogwarts Express. I wasn't happy with what they gave me. And you had some lights that failed on you, and I wanted to keep the little base. So that made a nice boiler, if you will. And the part they had, that little... It's a little brass flared out, it's a jewelry cap or probably a rivet. But that made the stack for the locomotive. They had that pointing in the wrong direction on the model. And then the suitcase all had to be built. And of course it had straps, and you use these other bead caps for ornamentation by flattening them out and cutting them in half. And again, all of the little letters, the howler on the top is all made from paper. And all of these little things had to be assembled too. They're all jewelry bead caps that hold a bead in place, but you can cut and position and glue these to make a globe for mystic purposes, and a cauldron. If you look down below, that's just a snap that it's sitting on. And of course the book stand, which is 2 bead caps, and one of them's flattened out and part of it cut away. This was my favorite part right here because it represents almost like a snow globe, but they had given me a little glass globe which had to be filled with little gems. And the cauldron, that was fun to make, and of the smoke is my addition with some pulled out cotton. So after all these numerous little implements have been made, next comes the furniture, and all of this is pre-cut, laser cut wood, and it just goes together fairly easy by following the instructions, and then you add all of the little things that have been made, like the train and the globes and bottles and things. So there's all of the items that were needing to be made ahead of time, and now I can start on the structure itself. So the most difficult thing was assembling this bay window because it was fragile, and I actually broke the little pieces a couple of times and had to glue them back. And another thing, it did not come with anything that looked like a window, so again, I never throw anything away, and every time we get something with packaging with that clear plastic, I save pieces of it so that I can use for windows. I had a big enough sheet too that I was able to bend it into the shape of that curve and just anchor it in place with some crazy glue. So the exterior and interior walls have to be assembled. Unfortunately, they give you all of the wallpaper, which looks like brick. So I like to try everything out. And here we have 2 complete bookcases and another shelf, like a counter. I want to make sure everything was going to fit in there properly. It was kind of almost messy. So everything fit in there except for all the things that go in the bay windows. That was even more challenging, but it looks like it's all going to go together just as the instructions suggest. And no model of mine is complete without lights in it. And this came with the kit, so I just had to figure out where everything went. And again, you're building lights out of those little rice lights, little teeny tiny lights, and jewelry beads. And it makes a neat little lantern. The wire pieces are bent. It makes the sides of the lantern. And the chimney was just, on the other lantern, was just a piece of like tube plastic that you glue on top of the circular clear bead, and then again on top of other jewelry beads makes a nice looking lamp. And this guy didn't come with the kit. He's some of your pewter castings from years ago, the Dungeons and Dragons.
Boy, I used to make a lot of wizards and stuff.
Right, this guy's kind of cute and charming, but he's going to have to be painted and something there in his hands. I'm not sure what, but I'll find something. Let's see what I can do. So there he is finished. I found 2 glass beads for his orbs. I'm not sure, fortune-telling wizardry. And as I was painting it, I found out there's a little green dragon there on his flank. Must be a friend. Now this model had about a bazillion wands that had to be made, and it was involving like twisting wire and forming it around different things. I got tired of that really fast. So using some just regular toothpicks and my little drill that you gave me for Christmas, I decided just to make my own wands and make them look a lot better than what they were suggesting. Now I don't have a real steady hand, but I do the best I can, just holding it as tight as I can and using that drill and just carving in the different little shapes and manipulating it a little bit, almost like a little lathe without quite so much control. But I found by just going back and forth really careful, I could get the shape that I wanted and sanding it, and then adding a couple of beads and things to make it look like a little wand. So there must have been a bazillion beads that came with this kit, so I just started fashioning my own wands and putting the beads on there the way I wanted them to look, and creating my own type of wand. So here's the finished product after I get done making all these different little beads and wands. And then I have these chrome pens and of course magic markers and things like that to color them and make them look like they're done in chrome. Now these are the fancy ones that are for sale, you know, for the more advanced wizardry. But they had a stand for them to be on, and believe it or not, the little pieces of wood, this base, was cut out of the laser wood, and those are just screws and other beads to hold the wand in place. Now there's a lot of other wands that are out for demonstration, of course, and not inside of a box, so I decided I wanted to do those really fancy by making a spiral with my drill and then just winding a piece of gold wire around the spiral. Now, like this wand was how the instructions wanted me to make the wand in the first place, by using a little piece of wire and then some foil and wrap that around with another piece of wire and a bead. But it was taking forever and I wasn't really happy with the outcome. So I like my toothpick method much better. And as I pointed out, there had to be at least, I forgot how many wands had to be made, but they wanted them on display in the windows in various ways. So there's a couple of them there, along with the little mailboxes. But I always have to take things to the extreme, and I actually built another little box with a wand in it to put out on display. I just used a piece of scrap wood that we had laying around and used this drill that you gave me for Christmas to hollow out the inside and make a lid for it. It's actually 2 little pieces of wood. Just glued them together and painted the inside, put the wand in there, and it looks like it's ready to go. Now the instructions had me use some of these lights. They're like those little fine Christmas lights that run on a battery, but I had to make candles that were floating in the window, so that's what was going on there. And I got the bright idea to also have my wands floating in the other window. So I glued each little wand onto the end of a very fine thread and then glued that to the top of the bay window, so that when the little model is given a little shake, they wiggle around like they're magic. Now, so often with these models, I've found that sometimes the wood is a little bit warped or doesn't match up right. So I had to put some different hinges on the side. So when I did that, then it didn't want to close properly, so I decided it needed a catch, and I figured a jewelry box catch would work just fine, but it had to be the right kind, very Harry Potter. So now it opens and closes just fine, and I like to have it where it closes tight just to keep everything from falling out. But there it is, all finished and complete.
And I think it turned out just amazing.
Oh, they're fun. I love putting these together.
Well, I hope everyone that's watching is a subscriber to the channel. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe by clicking on the upcoming blue button. Zoink, right there, the blue button. Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And Karyn and I will see you here on Tuesday.
Right.
We'll see you then.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.